In this video, we take a look at deploying and testing a preview VM offer in Azure Marketplace. In the previous videos, we discussed how to create the image, how to publish it in the Partner Center, and now that it's propagated and it's available in preview, in this video we take a look at how we can test it using the portal UI or command line tools before pushing it live for everyone to see in the marketplace. So just to recap, we are using this repo as in the previous videos, where it kind of talks about creating the image, publishing the VM offer in Marketplace, and above it, it's talking about creating it using Packer, just for simplicity and automation. And now we are talking about this section of testing the preview offer. So there are two ways we can do the deployment of the preview offer. One way is we can look at the Partner Center, as we will do, and we'll see once the offer finished going through its paces and it ended up in this publisher sign-off phase. It's called the preview phase. We'll get these links for previewing it, and we'll talk about them. And if we use the portal links, these links, it will open up Portal Azure, deep link us directly to that offer, and we can test it. Another option we'll take a look at is testing it programmatically, and sometimes we may need to accept the EULA terms of the offer programmatically as well, and we'll talk about that. So those are the topics that we will touch on in this video. So let's go on. So this is the offer that we created yesterday. And as you can see, we pushed it. It took about a day. Usually it may take longer, right? It all depends on the size of the images, how busy the certification team in reviewing it. But it happened to be that since yesterday, this got into preview phase. So if I click on this offer, it opened us up this offer overview, and we can see this user interface describing to us the phases, and we are right now in this publisher sign-off phase. So what happens, just so you're aware, is when it was going through these phases, once it entered this preview creation phase, this button and these links may appear, but it's important to remember this note right here, that even though these buttons appeared in the UI, when you click on them, you may still get 404 undefined for some time, usually less than 4 hours, but it can take up to 4 hours. So I waited a little bit to make sure that these links work, and now we're going to take a look. So if I click on these links, you can see right here on the bottom, it's showing us which URL it will go in the portal creation page with our offer ID and our SKU in there. So let's click. We have two SKUs. Each SKU is available for preview. So we're going to click on this link, and it's going to open up the portal. So it opens up the portal, and we see these are the titles and descriptions that we specified. If you remember, we have these titles for the SKUs. We clicked on the Ubuntu SKU, and that's what it's showing it to us. It's showing us which contract it is, description, if those images that we provided, and again, the description of the SKUs. That's the description, that's the title we used, support information, our publisher ID, and very interestingly, over here under the support information is where you can see your publisher ID, which you can also see in the Partner Center, obviously, but also very importantly, the offer ID and the plan ID that we would need for automation deployments, right? Notice this is not our offer ID. So this is an important qualification here. Notice these words -preview, okay? The first part is our offer ID. The second part is appended to it by Marketplace only while the offer is in preview. So it's like a separate instance of that VHD image out there in our marketplace with the preview ID. See, this is the real offer ID right here. So once we go live, the customers will be using test RSNV VM02 as the offer ID, but while it is in this phase, this offer is not yet ready, and this preview is available, and that's what we are seeing right here. So just know by convention, I explain it here as well, that by convention, it will append the preview to the offer, okay, the -preview. So you will not be able to see when you list images for your publisher, and while the offer is in preview, that offer will not be visible. It's only visible by knowing this offer ID and appending -preview, and it's only available for the preview audiences. If you remember, we had the preview audience settings here. And in the preview audience settings, we configure 2 subscriptions that can see the offer. So I can only test preview offer using these subscriptions. If I try, and we can look into it if we have time, if we try another subscription, it will fail. Okay, so that's step number 1. In a portal, we see all of that. And then if we say create, you can see it's just a VM creation UI. I can specify my virtual machine name. So let's create a group, AV test VM 02. We're gonna give it a name. Okay, it is showing us that we are deploying the SKU. We're going to pick the correct size. If you remember, the recommended sizes that we picked are shown right here. So we can pick one of the recommended sizes or see all sizes. So let's pick recommended size. We'll use, we'll say that we'll use password auth. Okay, and then we will say allow selected ports, port 22. Let's just continue. It will be premium SSD disk. We're not attaching any data disks. Okay, and this will create for us the network security group, allowing port 22, just regular, the regular size. It says that the VM size does not support accelerated networking. So let's just go back for a second and pick a VM size that does, based on the size, how many cores it has. It supports it. So now we know that the networking will be enabled right there by default. That's how we configured our image when we were publishing it. Boot diagnostics, all kinds of other settings. Everything, this UI is standard for every virtual machine. It's kind of a standardized UI. The only difference is that this is our image that we are selecting, right? Not one of the platform images, but our specific image. So let's go to the last step again. Tags, review and create. We're not going to click the create button. I want to get to the template and show you something. So if we use the portal, at the end, on this last page, for preview offer and for real offers, what we will see is the product details. And you can see this is the infrastructure cost of the virtual machine. And if we did not have bring your own license, this price of the VM offer, if we use the usage-based pricing when we were building it, it would appear here. And it says that it is published by the publisher name, in this case, Azure Marketplace, name of publisher, and this is the contract, and that's the privacy policy that we link to, etc., etc. And if we look through all of these settings and click create, this would accept these terms for us because they're visible to us implicitly, and it will then allow programmatic deployment of the same virtual machine again and again inside of the same subscription. Let's take a look at the template for a second. And in the template, it generates the most interesting part relevant for us is this section right here, image reference. Inside of the storage profile, it says this is our publisher, this is our offer, SKU, and version. So just to recap, and if I click go, like I said, on this, it will create the VM, it will accept the terms that are here, and it will be all successful. And the same, these links usually appear for you for preview offers. And the preview audience are the subscriptions that can actually deploy it. So it's very easy to test. If you want to test through the portal, deploying it like that, no problems. What if we wanted to deploy this, but instead of clicking create here, we wanted to deploy it programmatically through CLI or an ARM template, download this ARM template and run it, right? So in here, let's just give it a shot. So basically testing using command line deployment. So what we will do is we'll create ourselves a resource group, and then in the resource group, we will create ourselves a VM. We'll specify username and password, and we'll refer to the image using the identifiers that we saw in multiple places in a template and also on the info site and also by convention, appending this with dash preview. That's the key. It's right here, as you can see. And then we also need to specify these required parameters for a purchase for marketplace third-party images like planned publisher, planned product, etc. So planned publisher is self-explanatory. Planned product is the name of the offer, and plan name is the name of the plan. Okay, so over here I clone this repo, and let's run these commands real quick. So I'm going to create the group. The group is created, and then let's put in the actual, let's say, name of my publisher. It would obviously be different, and the offer is already configured here. So let's run this command and see what happens. So the command will run for a few minutes, just like it usually takes. Let's take a look what's happening in the portal. So I'll find the resource group where the creation is going, and we can see right here that one deployment is in progress. We can see some resources already got created. If I click on this deployment, it's very convenient for debugging. So the CLI generated a tiny template, and you can see the template that the CLI command used, imperatively. It created it. You can see that section that it created for us based on the parameters of the plan and also the image reference. Okay, again, just to reinforce it, both are required. Image reference is required for the technical piece of which image to use, and the plan reference that sits above these properties, right, in the VM definition, is required because it's a third party purchase, quote unquote. The marketplace for purchase needs it. And this seems to be working and continuing to deploy. And we can see it finished and all the resources that got created by this deployment, including the virtual machine. So if we go to the resource group, let's just go there, take a look at the virtual machine, and we can see our virtual machine publisher offer plan, the generation of it, and this is what we have, and that's the name we gave it, and it looks like it deployed successfully, and we can try SSHing into the VM and seeing if it came from our image. So I open the Cloud Shell and I'm SSHing into the VM, specifying the username and the password. So entering the right password, we get into the VM, and let's list our root directory, and you can see we have our custom folder, that's our image, and if we do a curl on the local host, we'll get our Nginx running, so we know it got created from the image we built using Packer in the previous videos. So that's great. So that's how we created the VM. Notice something interesting that happened. I was deploying this in this subscription programmatically, never deployed it before using the portal, and usually it would say that the terms were not accepted. It appears that for preview offers, the terms may be oftentimes auto-accepted before. So that's what it's talking about in this section of the repo, is how can we check the terms, terms of service that were accepted. It's a flag on that offer and my subscription. So let's take a look at it really quick and see how you would, what if you got an error saying the terms were not accepted. So what we would do is we would make a REST call to this API, okay, to this API, where it's basically marketplace ordering API, offer types, virtual machines, publisher, offer, SKU, and the agreements. And if we make a call to this REST API, we can see were the terms accepted or not. And you can see that they were right here. It says that the terms were already accepted. So that's why it worked for us to deploy this programmatically. And I am pretty confident that's because it's preview. And if it would not be preview, we would need to accept the terms, right? So once we push it live and we want to use programmatic deployments, we would need to accept the terms. There are two ways to do it. One is using the Azure VM image accept terms command. Once it's live, it will work, but for preview images, it doesn't work. So just in case you get terms error of not accepted, you may do this REST API to check if the terms were accepted. And if they were not, we can basically take this JSON payload. Let's just make a quick example. We'll make a file. Let's call it terms. We'll put the data there. and we'll edit it. So that's the terms. We could take that file, let's say it has false here, so let's just flip it to false as a test, and then we can do a put request, okay, on our publisher, offer SKU, okay, with the terms, JSON right here. So let's just see how this behaves. Okay, so it did a post, a put actually. Let's look at them again. You can see we changed the accepted to false. And now if we try to deploy another virtual machine, just want to show you the experience of what would happen if the terms were not pre-accepted for the preview offer. Let's just give it a quick test. We'll create a new virtual machine from the same image, and let's see if we get an error here. Perfect. The example is working. You can see I'm trying to deploy it, right? And it's erroring out for me, and it says offer with publisher ID XYZ cannot be purchased due to validation errors. What is the problem? Before the subscription can be used, you need to accept the legal terms of the image. To read the accept terms, use the Azure CLI command or use the portal UI for accepting the terms as we discussed. And that is because we manually flipped that to false. So it looks like for preview image, it was marked true by default, making it convenient to do quick programmatic deployment. But sometimes I saw it not working like that. So that is why the documentation includes explanation of how this place includes, if in case you get an error, okay, in case you get an error, you can accept it by this approach. So let's just kind of do the reverse of what we just did. So let's see again. Now we unaccepted the terms on purpose. We'll look at the terms. Let's see. So we can see it's false. So we'll grab this JSON payload, put it in a file or programmatically, but just for testing in a file, and say true. And now let's do a put with those terms to mark it accepted. So, and now we can repeat our get command and see, did it actually accept the terms? It did. And now if we rerun our deployment, that error will no longer be there. So let's just give it a shot. So we'll run it again, creating a VM with a new name with the same image. Let's go to the portal and take a look at that failure message from before. So this is the current deployment that's ongoing. And in this case, it will work properly because we reaccepted the terms. So just again, not to confuse you, but terms need to be accepted. They get auto-accepted when deploying using the portal. They seem to recently start being auto-accepted for the preview offers, which is convenient. But they, once you push it live, you would need to either deploy through portal or accept terms using VM image accept terms. The reason this shows using REST APIs, as this blog post explains from a few years back, there is actually a REST API that gets invoked behind the scenes over here to accept the terms, and that's what this command uses. This command will not work for preview images, so this is what it calls behind the scenes. So you're always able to accept the terms. So that is an example of it working, and this deployment will succeed. Let's take a look as another example. What happens if I go and try to deploy from a subscription that is not in the preview audience list? Okay, so let me switch subscriptions and we'll take a look. So I went in and I switched my subscriptions. So just to show you what we have, this subscription we whitelisted for preview. This subscription we whitelisted for preview. We've been using this one so far. I'm right now going into this subscription that was not whitelisted for preview, and we can see that under the preview audiences, you can see it's not there. And let's now see what happens if I try to do a preview in a subscription that's not allowed, right? That was not whitelisted. How will it behave? Just so you have an idea. So let's create a resource group in that subscription. I'm already in that subscription. And then let's try to deploy this virtual machine from this image. The expectation is that it should fail. And let's see. And we can see that it failed very quickly. Marketplace purchase eligibility failed there. Offer with this ID was not found. So this is what you can expect if you get this type of error. Be aware of what may be happening. Number one, maybe you typed in the wrong publisher offer ID. Number two, if it just got created recently, you didn't wait enough. Number three, it was removed. But there's more numbers in essence. Number four is you're using a subscription that's not in preview audience for this offer, or and this offer is still in preview. So that is why it does not work. Now let's switch to the second subscription that is whitelisted in preview. So let's see, AZ account set subscription. AZ group list. Let's see what we have. So we have some groups. Let's now try it again. Create a group in this new separate subscription that is whitelisted for preview. And let's try to do the deployment using our command. And this should work properly. It will start running and deploying the virtual machine right there. So that is working. Now, the final point to show is that that is how we created one of the images, the Ubuntu image, for example, from the Ubuntu offer. But we published two offers. Two plans under one offer. One was the Ubuntu, one was the CentOS. Let's check this one. So the only thing that we would need to change in this command is which SKU we are using. So let's see, CentOS 82 BYOL. And let's actually, for an example, keep a mismatch between the plan here and the SKU here. And let's just give this VM a right name, just so that we can tell them apart. And again, we are in that subscription. That's okay. Let's see what error you can expect if you are mismatching the image reference and the plan in the purchase plan right here. So as we can see, it is not able to pre-validate that this will be a problem. It's not able to pre-validate that this will be a problem. So it's kind of continuing and it's trying to deploy, but it will error out eventually. So let's take a look at which point. So we are looking at this group and we can see something failed right here and something failed right here. Marketplace invalid input, unable to deploy custom image source for Marketplace. The part of the purchase information is not as expected. Beware that the plan's object property is case sensitive. So it's complaining that this plan is not matching the image. So let's fix that, which is exactly what I wanted. Just wanted you to see the type of error to expect. And now that we matched it, hopefully this will deploy. Resource plan cannot be changed for the resource because the VM already kind of got started being created. Let me show you another little gotcha that sometimes people encounter is because this VM kind of got created. This VM really is not going to be able to be fixed anymore, so we just need to get rid of it. We can't update these incorrect references anymore. So instead, let's create C, new VM, with the correct information, right? So once you start it, that is impossible to fix anymore. That VM that failed being created due to incorrect information. That's how you debug it. So it's running, and this will succeed now. So we will be able to see the VM number C So you can see the deployment is starting to create this VM 300C. That is the failure from the wrong information that we on purpose included. So this is C. And you can see it's the CentOS version from the CentOS image that is currently being created, and it will be successful. And we can see this deployment succeeded, and our virtual machine, the CentOS version, got created. So just to recap what we went through is we went through how to test in preview, make sure functionality is all good using the preview subscriptions, how to debug some of the common things that can happen, how to accept the terms, how to deploy it programmatically or through the portal. And you obviously can create an ARM template and deploy it because the CLI command just does that. And now we can click the Go Live button. I'm not going to do that in this video, but what you do is when you click this Go Live button, it will take some time, please be aware, because now it will take, just like here, it could have taken 4 days to move the bits of all of these images in all the regions in Azure to make them available as dash preview. Over here, it will take up to the same amount of time to move the bits in all the regions in Azure, but without dash preview. And then the image will be available to everybody. Now, the word everybody needs to be qualified. It will no longer need to be the preview audience because dash preview will not be included in the offer ID. But be aware, it will still depend on the availability of the plan. If I made the plan available as private, right? If we click here, let's just revisit what that means. That means that this offer private plan can only be deployed by customers using these subscriptions. Even after it's public, they will not be able to deploy it if it's not one of these subscriptions, allowing you to create custom images, custom pricing. You can see, by the way, that price cannot be changed from after image is published once for different customers. You can add many subscriptions here programmatically. In a different video, we talk about how to use the APIs to make these updates. And the final point, if this height plan was enabled, the offer, once it's public, would not be findable in the marketplace UI, but the preview offer and the preview links that we discussed so far, these ones over here, would not be impacted by the height, right? So for preview, we can see it in the marketplace, even for hidden. So hopefully this helps you see the end-to-end of creating a simple Hello World example of a VM. Just final recap is you create a virtual machine image, today VHD, or shared image gallery, then export it to VHD. In the future, the UI in Partner Center will support shared image gallery directly. And then you publish it in the Partner Center by doing the data entry into all of these fields. And once it's done, you wait for it to go through certification. And you should be hopefully already done your own testing and certification when creating the image. So that way, it's very high chance that it will go through successfully. And then once you got into preview, you wait to make sure you can see the offers, and then you can deploy them either in a portal or programmatically, do your acceptance testing, make sure everything is working, press go live, wait for it to be published live. Make sure to account for the sufficient amount of days that it can take, 3 days, sometimes up to 3 days for manual validation. It could take up to 4 days for the preview creation, depending again on how big the images are and how many people are publishing at that time, and then 4 more days for that. So it's 11 days total potentially there. Don't wait till the last minute to start publishing. It's always good to be in this phase as soon as possible. Then you can always press go live and be closer to that as soon as possible. Just put it live and don't announce it yet in blogs, etc. So that is the summary. All of these videos will be together contained in a blog post that will be following chronological order. Thank you very much for watching, and please leave your comments on the blog post. Thank you.